The stars vanished. Not one by one. Not gradually. They disappeared all at once. Across Earth, billions looked up at the night sky and saw an impossible darkness spreading across the heavens. In New York, children pointed upward. In Tokyo, entire crowds stopped moving. In the deserts of Australia, astronomers stared at their instruments in disbelief. The stars weren't gone. Something was blocking them. Something enormous. Then the ships appeared. Thousands of them. Their black metallic hulls stretched for kilometers, swallowing moonlight and casting monstrous shadows across the planet. The largest vessel alone was bigger than some countries. For the first time in human history, Earth wasn't alone. And whoever had arrived wasn't friendly. Deep within the colossal flagship Eternal Dominion, Grand Admiral Verax stood before a massive observation window. Below him floated Earth. Small. Fragile. Vulnerable. Exactly like every other world the Galactic Empire had conquered. For 300 years, Verax had commanded invasions across known space. Entire civilizations had surrendered the moment they saw his fleet. Others had resisted. None had survived. "Begin the transmission," he ordered. An officer bowed. "At once, Grand Admiral." A second later, every screen on Earth flickered. Televisions. Phones. Computers. Billboards. Even satellites. A single image replaced everything. The face of Grand Admiral Verax. Cold. Emotionless. Terrifying. "My name is Verax, Supreme Commander of the Galactic Empire." His voice echoed across the world. "You are witnessing the final moments of your independence." People froze. Governments scrambled. Military commanders rushed into emergency bunkers. The alien continued. "For your education, humanity, observe what happens to those who resist." The image shifted. And the horror began. A distant planet appeared on screen. Beautiful. Blue oceans. Green continents. Millions of lights glittering in the darkness. Then a beam of crimson energy erupted from orbit. The world exploded. Entire continents vanished in seconds. Oceans boiled. Cities became dust. The planet shattered into burning fragments. Across Earth, silence spread. Even hardened military veterans felt chills crawl down their spines. The footage continued. Another world. Another destruction. Another civilization erased. One after another. Until the screen returned to Verax. "You have 48 hours. His yellow eyes narrowed. "Surrender." The transmission ended. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The entire planet seemed frozen. Then something unexpected happened. A notification appeared inside the Imperial flagship. Earth had already sent a response. Verax smirked. Finally. The fear had begun. The message opened. The bridge crew leaned forward. The Admiral's confident expression slowly disappeared. The human reply contained only 3 words. 3 words that made the entire bridge fall silent. "Nice special effects." Nobody laughed. Nobody breathed. And for the very first time in his long military career, Grand Admiral Verax felt something he had not experienced in centuries. Confusion. As the bridge struggled to process humanity's response, an alarm suddenly blared throughout the flagship. An intelligence officer stumbled forward, pale and shaking. "Grand Admiral. What is it?" The officer swallowed hard. "The humans aren't panicking." Verax frowned. "Then what are they doing?" The officer stared at his datapad. His voice trembled. "They're making jokes about us." Grand Admiral Verax had witnessed planets burn. He had watched civilizations surrender after a single threat. He had seen entire species collapse into panic within hours. But nothing in his 300 years of conquest had prepared him for this. The humans were laughing. Not nervous laughter. Not desperate laughter. Genuine laughter. The massive holographic screen in the Eternal Dominion's command bridge filled with thousands of intercepted human communications. Verax stared. His officers stared. Nobody understood what they were seeing. One message read: aliens traveled across the galaxy just to roleplay as movie villains. Another showed a photoshopped image of Verax wearing sunglasses. The caption: when you spend 1 trillion credits on a fleet but still get roasted by Earth. The bridge fell silent. An empire that ruled 10,000 star systems had become a joke. Explain this. Verax's voice echoed through the bridge. No one answered. Finally, Chief Intelligence Officer Therex stepped forward. Grand Admiral, our analysts are attempting to understand the situation. Attempting? Therex swallowed. Human psychology appears unusual. A new report appeared on the central display. Human Entertainment Archives. Verax frowned. What is this? Our researchers examined human culture. The files opened. The first showed giant monsters destroying cities. The second depicted machine uprisings. The third showed alien invasions. The fourth showed entire galaxies consumed by war. Hour after hour. Century after century. Humans had created stories about every nightmare imaginable. The deeper the empire looked, the stranger it became. They discovered horror films, apocalyptic novels, war documentaries, disaster simulations, survival competitions, even recreational activities involving danger. One imperial scientist looked horrified. Grand Admiral. Speak. It appears humans willingly expose themselves to fear for entertainment. The bridge erupted into confused murmurs. Why? That makes no sense. No rational species would do that. Verax felt irritation rising. Nothing about this species made sense. Meanwhile, on Earth, the atmosphere was completely different. Restaurants were full. Sports events continued. Schools remained open. Entire cities gathered beneath the shadows of imperial warships. Not to hide. To watch. Children pointed excitedly at vessels hanging in the sky. Tourists took photographs. Street vendors sold shirts displaying Verax's face. One became particularly popular. Across the front, it read: Galactic Emperor of Drama. Sales exploded worldwide. Back aboard the Eternal Dominion, another alarm suddenly sounded. An officer rushed forward. His face had gone pale. Grand Admiral. Verax narrowed his eyes. What now? The officer activated a transmission. Millions of voices echoed from Earth. At first, Verax thought it was a protest. Then he realized what he was hearing. They were chanting. Not in fear. Not in surrender. The entire planet was chanting the same thing. Louder and louder. Mocking the Empire. Mocking him. Verax's fists clenched. For the first time since arriving at Earth. He wasn't angry. He was worried. Because hidden among the jokes and laughter, his intelligence division had discovered something impossible. Something terrifying. Humanity wasn't pretending to be fearless. They were genuinely not afraid. End of Part 2. Cliffhanger. As the bridge processed the shocking revelation, a scientist stumbled into the command center carrying a classified report. His hands were shaking. Grand Admiral, we've uncovered something in humanity's military history. Verax frowned. What is it? The scientist looked up slowly. His voice barely a whisper. The things humans fear most aren't aliens. The screen behind him lit up. And every officer on the bridge froze. The report should have been impossible. Grand Admiral Verax read it 3 times. Then a 4th. The words never changed. Primary human fears identified. Not aliens. Not invasion. Not extinction. Not death. Verax slowly lowered the datapad. What do they fear? The scientist hesitated. The entire bridge waited. Then he answered. Failure. Silence. Loss. Another pause. And, losing the people they care about. The scientist swallowed. They fear emotional pain more than physical destruction. A cold sensation crept through the bridge. For the first time, the Empire realized they might have misunderstood humanity completely. 3 hours later, Verax launched Operation Fearstorm. If humanity could not be intimidated by threats, then they would be broken by nightmares. Across Earth, the skies suddenly erupted with light. Gigantic portals tore open above every major city. Thunder rolled across continents. The oceans churned violently. Dark clouds swallowed the sun. From the portals emerged creatures pulled from humanity's deepest fears. Towering monsters. Shadow-covered giants. Winged horrors with glowing crimson eyes. Each stood hundreds of meters tall. Each was designed using data stolen from humanity's entertainment, mythology, and history. The Empire expected panic. Screaming. Chaos. Mass hysteria. Instead, something else happened. In London, thousands gathered beneath a giant monster. Someone started selling snacks. In Brazil, a crowd projected music onto the creature's body. In Tokyo, artists began sketching it. In New York, people were already arguing online about which monster looked coolest. The reactions flooded Imperial intelligence networks. One human post read: "Finally! The live-action version looks better than the trailer." Another: "Can we keep one as a pet?" A third had already gained 50 million views. It showed a giant monster edited into a dancing competition. The caption: "When the galaxy spends its entire budget on special effects." Inside the Eternal Dominion, officers stared in disbelief. Psychological warfare divisions began reporting catastrophic failure rates. Fear levels remained low. Public morale remained stable. In some regions, morale had actually increased. Verax's jaw tightened. This wasn't natural. No species behaved this way. No civilization in history had responded to terror with humor. Then another report arrived. One that made the bridge go silent. A secret human archive. Recently decrypted. Buried deep beneath military security clearances. The file contained records from a forgotten conflict. A war so devastating it had nearly destroyed humanity centuries ago. The Empire opened the first page. And every officer froze. At the top of the document were 7 words. "What follows has been sealed forever." Beneath it, a photograph. Not of aliens. Not of monsters. Not of any enemy the Empire recognized. Something far worse. Something that made even Verax feel uneasy. The image was corrupted. Most of it was hidden behind classified markings. But one detail remained visible. A single human soldier standing before a mountain of destruction. Smiling. And written beneath the picture: "This was the day humanity learned fear could be killed." The photograph shouldn't have existed. Grand Admiral Verax stared at the grainy image projected across the bridge of the Eternal Dominion. A lone human soldier stood amid absolute devastation. Behind him stretched the ruins of an entire continent. Cities burned. Mountains had been split apart. The sky itself appeared scarred. Yet the soldier was smiling. Not the smile of a madman. Not the smile of victory. Something far stranger. A smile that seemed to say, "We've already survived worse." A chill crawled down Verax's spine. For the first time since arriving in the Sol system, he wasn't studying humanity. Humanity was studying him. Continue the archive. The bridge AI obeyed. Ancient human records began unfolding across the display. Most were heavily encrypted. Entire sections had been deliberately erased. But one thing became clear. Humanity had once faced an enemy so terrible that even centuries later, governments had hidden the truth. The first recovered video began playing. A dark battlefield appeared. Explosions illuminated endless smoke. Human soldiers ran through storms of fire. Gigantic machines towered over shattered cities. The footage was old. Very old. Yet the fear on the faces of those soldiers felt real. One voice echoed from the recording. Day 847. We've lost 3 more continents. If anyone finds this, tell them we tried. The recording ended. Silence filled the Imperial bridge. Even hardened veterans shifted uneasily. This wasn't a war. It was extinction. Then came another file. A final emergency broadcast. A human commander stood before the camera. His uniform was torn. Blood covered one side of his face. Behind him, alarms screamed. The commander looked directly into the lens. Directly into the future. Directly at everyone watching. If this message survives, then humanity survived. His tired eyes hardened. And if humanity survived, then fear failed. The transmission cut out. Nobody spoke. Not even Verax. Because the realization was beginning to spread across the bridge. The Empire had spent centuries weaponizing fear. Humanity had spent centuries fighting it. The difference was enormous. One civilization used fear as a tool. The other had learned how to endure it. Suddenly, a new alert flashed across every Imperial display. Red. Urgent. Impossible. An officer jumped from his station. Grand Admiral. Verax turned. What now? The officer's face had gone completely pale. The humans. His voice cracked. They've hacked our public communication network. The bridge erupted into chaos. Impossible. Our systems are secure. How did they get inside? Then the main screen flickered. The Imperial emblem vanished. Replaced by a live broadcast from Earth. Millions of humans were watching. Billions. And standing before the camera was Elena Ward. Smiling. She looked directly into the lens. Directly at Verax. Then she spoke. You came here believing fear makes people obedient. Her smile widened. That's your mistake. The signal suddenly cut. But not before one final image appeared. A star map. Covered in strange markings. Ancient markings. Older than the Galactic Empire itself. Imperial analysts rushed to decode the map. Seconds later, every face on the bridge turned white. The map wasn't showing conquered worlds. It wasn't showing Imperial territory. It was showing something hidden. Something buried. Something humanity had been protecting for centuries. And according to the coordinates, whatever it was, had just awakened. Something moved in the darkness between the stars. Not a ship. Not a fleet. Something older. Far older. Deep within the Imperial flagship, every screen flashed crimson as automated systems struggled to process the data pouring in from the mysterious star map. Grand Admiral Verax stared at the projection hovering above the bridge. Thousands of coordinates. Ancient coordinates. Coordinates that should not exist. Because according to every Imperial record, those regions of space were empty. Dead. Untouched for millions of years. Yet one by one, the coordinates were lighting up. As if something was waking up. Report. The command snapped through the bridge. An officer looked up from his station, visibly shaken. We've confirmed the age of the map. How old? The officer hesitated. Approximately 30,000 years. The bridge fell silent. Even Verax's expression hardened. 30,000 years. The Galactic Empire itself was barely 4,000 years old. This map predated everything. Every civilization. Every conquest. Every known chapter of galactic history. Meanwhile, on Earth, Elena Ward stood inside a heavily guarded underground facility buried beneath Antarctica. Massive blast doors stretched hundreds of meters into the ice. Ancient warning symbols covered the walls. Military personnel moved with tense urgency. At the center of the chamber stood a structure unlike anything human engineers could build. A black monolith. Perfectly smooth. Perfectly silent. And taller than a skyscraper. Its surface pulsed with faint blue light. Slowly. Like a heartbeat. Elena stared upward. After centuries of secrecy, humanity's greatest secret was finally awake. Back aboard the Eternal Dominion, Imperial scientists uncovered another piece of the puzzle. A hidden file attached to the ancient map. The translation AI struggled for several minutes. Then the message appeared. Every officer read it. And immediately wished they hadn't. To those who find this, do not wake them. If they awaken, only humanity knows how to stop them. The bridge exploded into alarmed conversations. Who are they? What does this mean? Stop who? Verax's eyes narrowed. For the first time since arriving at Earth, a possibility entered his mind. What if humanity wasn't hiding from the galaxy? What if humanity had been guarding it? Then every sensor in the solar system went offline. Simultaneously. Without warning. Without explanation. For 3 terrifying seconds. Nothing worked. No radar. No communications. No tracking systems. Nothing. Then the sensors returned. And the bridge froze. A new object had appeared. It wasn't near Earth. It wasn't near the Imperial fleet. It was floating beyond Pluto. A colossal black silhouette. Larger than a moon. Larger than any vessel ever constructed. And according to the scans, it had not arrived. It had been there the entire time. Hidden. Watching. Waiting. Verax slowly rose from his command throne. His pulse hammered in his chest. The impossible object began transmitting. Not to the Empire. Not to the fleet. Directly to Earth. Only 6 words appeared on every screen. Guardian species identified. A second line followed. And this one made even Elena's blood run cold. Containment failure detected. End of Part 5. Cliffhanger. As the message faded, dozens of new signals suddenly appeared across the galaxy. Then hundreds. Then thousands. Ancient objects were awakening everywhere. And from somewhere beyond known space. Something answered. Something humanity had spent 30,000 years trying to keep asleep. The signal lasted only 4 seconds. 4 seconds was enough. Across the galaxy, ancient machines awakened. On forgotten moons. Inside dead star systems. Beneath oceans that had never known sunlight. Thousands of black monoliths activated simultaneously. Their blue lights pierced the darkness like opening eyes. And then, something answered. Not from within the galaxy. From beyond it. Inside the Eternal Dominion, panic spread across the bridge. Sensor operators shouted over one another. Unknown energy signatures detected. More appearing every second. Long-range telescopes are offline. Grand Admiral Verax gripped the edge of his command throne. Show me. The main display lit up. What appeared made the blood drain from every face. The edge of the galaxy was moving. At first it seemed impossible. Galaxies didn't move. Not like that. But this wasn't the galaxy. It was something hidden within the darkness beyond it. Something so vast that entire star systems looked microscopic by comparison. The shape shifted. Slowly. Deliberately. As if it had just awakened from a very long sleep. On Earth, deep beneath Antarctica, the black monolith suddenly surged with light. Alarms screamed throughout the facility. Scientists ran between control stations. Ancient symbols appeared across the monolith's surface. Symbols older than human civilization. Older than recorded history. Elena Ward stepped forward. For years, humanity had protected this secret without fully understanding it. Now it was finally speaking. A synthetic voice echoed through the chamber. Calm. Ancient. Terrifying. Guardian species recognized. Emergency protocol initiated. The Devourers have detected biological activity. The room fell silent. Nobody breathed. Nobody moved. Elena's heart sank. The name alone sounded wrong. Ancient. Predatory. Hungry. Back aboard the Imperial flagship, another hidden archive unlocked itself. Humanity hadn't encrypted it. The monolith had. A hologram appeared above the bridge. An unfamiliar alien stood within the projection. Tall. Silver-skinned. Wearing armor unlike anything the Empire possessed. The recording crackled. Millions of years old. Yet perfectly preserved. The alien spoke. If you are seeing this, then the prison has failed. Stars appeared behind him. Entire galaxies. Then they vanished. Consumed by a black tide spreading across space. The officers watched in horror. Worlds disappeared. Civilizations vanished. Even suns were extinguished. The alien continued. The devourers do not conquer. They do not negotiate. They do not hate. His expression darkened. They consume. The hologram suddenly zoomed in. A single image filled every screen. The first clear image ever recorded of a devourer. The bridge froze. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a creature. It was both. A living nightmare larger than planets. Its body seemed made from shadows and stars. Thousands of burning eyes opened across its surface. Looking directly at the camera. Looking directly at them. Then the recording ended. A final message appeared. Only one sentence. One terrible sentence. Humanity was never chosen to rule the galaxy. Another line appeared beneath it. And this one shattered every assumption Verax had ever held. Humanity was chosen to guard the gate. End of Part 6. Cliffhanger. As the bridge struggled to comprehend the revelation, every sensor in the solar system detected the same impossible event. A tear opened in space beyond Pluto. Then another. Then hundreds. From the first rift, something enormous began emerging. And for the first time since the invasion began, humanity stopped laughing. Humanity stopped laughing. The moment the first devourer emerged from the rift beyond Pluto, every joke vanished. Every meme. Every sarcastic comment. Every mocking broadcast. Gone. Not because humans were afraid. But because they finally recognized the enemy. And that terrified Grand Admiral Verax more than anything he had seen since arriving in the Sol system. Because for the first time, the humans looked serious. Beyond Pluto, reality itself seemed to unravel. The gigantic tear in space widened. Crimson lightning erupted across the void. Stars distorted around its edges. Then something pushed through. At first, Imperial sensors couldn't measure it. The object was simply too large. Too alien. Too wrong. The devourer's body stretched for thousands of kilometers. Its surface appeared alive. Cities of darkness crawled across its skin. Its countless eyes opened one by one. Each eye glowing like a dying star. And then it looked toward the solar system. Toward Earth. Toward humanity. As if it remembered them. A transmission immediately spread across every human military network. Every warship. Every station. Every hidden defense platform. The order contained only 2 words. Iron Protocol. Verax watched in confusion. What does that mean? No one answered. Because all across the solar system, humanity's mask was coming off. The asteroid belt exploded. Not from attack. From activation. Thousands of seemingly ordinary asteroids split apart. Ancient weapons emerged from within them. Massive defense platforms hidden for centuries. Their black armor matched the Antarctic monolith. On the far side of Jupiter, entire fleets rose from beneath the clouds. Near Saturn's rings, colossal structures unfolded like mechanical flowers. Everywhere the Empire looked, human weapons were appearing. Weapons humanity had never used against the Empire. Weapons humanity had been saving. Inside the Antarctic facility, Elena stood before the glowing monolith. The ancient voice returned. Guardian species. Containment defense authorization granted. The floor trembled. The monolith opened. For the first time in 30,000 years. Inside was a chamber. At its center floated a sphere of brilliant white light. A weapon. Or perhaps something even older. Humanity's final inheritance. The last gift of the civilization that built the prison. Meanwhile, panic spread through the Imperial fleet. Ships began retreating. Entire formations broke apart. The devourers ignored them completely. The Empire wasn't their target. Never had been. Humanity was. The gatekeepers. The jailers. The species that had kept them trapped for millennia. And now the prisoners had returned. The first devourer moved. A single motion. A single impossible motion. One of Neptune's moons vanished. Consumed instantly. No explosion. No debris. Just, gone. The bridge of the Eternal Dominion fell silent. Even Verax couldn't find words. Because he finally understood. The Empire had never arrived to conquer a weak civilization. It had stumbled into the middle of an ancient war. Then every screen across Earth activated. Elena Ward appeared. Her face calm. Determined. Behind her, the white sphere burned like a miniature sun. She looked directly into the camera. Directly at humanity. Directly at the galaxy. And spoke the words no one wanted to hear. 30,000 years ago, our ancestors closed the gate. Today. We're going to do it again. End of Part 7. Cliffhanger. As millions watched, the largest rift suddenly split open. Larger than planets. Larger than fleets. Larger than anything ever recorded. Something began emerging from within. Something that made the first devourer look small. The ancient monolith's voice spoke one final warning. For the first time. Its emotionless tone contained fear. Devourer Prime detected. Probability of survival, 0.3%. And beyond the rift. A colossal eye opened. The eye blinked. That single movement sent shockwaves through space. Across the solar system, sensors overloaded. Warning alarms screamed. Several Imperial ships lost power instantly and drifted helplessly into the void. Because the eye wasn't attached to a creature. It was attached to something far larger. Something so immense that human minds struggled to comprehend it. As Devourer Prime emerged from the rift, stars disappeared behind its endless form. The darkness between galaxies had finally come alive. And it was looking directly at Earth. For a moment, nobody spoke. Not on Earth. Not in the Imperial fleet. Not anywhere in the galaxy. Fear had arrived. True fear. The kind that made civilizations crumble. The kind the Galactic Empire had spent centuries weaponizing. The kind that had once destroyed entire galaxies. Even Grand Admiral Verax felt it. His hands trembled as he stared through the observation window. At last, he understood. The Empire's threats. Its fleets. Its weapons. They had never mattered. Against this thing, they were insects. Then something unexpected happened. A sound echoed through Earth's command networks. A chuckle. Then another. Then dozens. Soon hundreds of human soldiers were laughing. Not because the situation was funny. Because they recognized it. The impossible odds. The certainty of failure. The moment when courage was the only option left. Elena Ward smiled. The same smile Verax had seen in ancient photographs. The same smile worn by generations of humans who had stood against impossible enemies. She activated the white sphere. Immediately, the solar system erupted with light. The hidden defense platforms awakened. Ancient monoliths across the galaxy synchronized. A web of energy spread between stars. An enormous glowing lattice formed around the rifts. The prison was being rebuilt. Devourer Prime reacted instantly. Its roar shook reality itself. Entire fleets were thrown backward. Several stars flickered. The creature surged toward Earth. Toward the gatekeepers. Toward the species that had defied it for 30,000 years. But humanity didn't retreat. Every human ship charged forward. Every defense station fired. Even the Imperial fleet joined the battle. For the first time in history, the conquerors fought beside the conquered. And together, they bought humanity enough time. The white sphere rose above Earth. Its brilliance outshone the sun. Elena looked up as the ancient monolith delivered its final message. Guardian species. Authorization accepted. Gate closure commencing. The lattice snapped shut. One by one, the rifts collapsed. Devourers vanished back into the darkness. Their screams echoed across space. Then only Devourer Prime remained. For a brief moment, its colossal eye fixed on Earth. Filled not with hunger, but hatred. Then the final gate closed. And the darkness disappeared. Silence. The kind of silence that follows survival. The kind that feels impossible. The galaxy had been saved. Again. Epilogue. Years later, historians would uncover the truth. Humanity had never been chosen because it was the strongest species. Or the smartest. Or the most advanced. Humanity had been chosen because it possessed something rarer. The ability to face fear without surrendering to it. When the Galactic Empire first arrived, they believed terror was power. But they had learned a different lesson. Fear can control people. Fear can break people. Fear can destroy civilizations. But fear loses its power the moment someone laughs and steps forward anyway. Final moral. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward despite it. The galaxy survived because one species refused to kneel before terror. And when darkness came from beyond the stars, humanity's answer was the same as it had always been. A smile. A laugh. And one step forward into the impossible. The end rocket Milky Way man astronaut sparkles.